Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. My name is Scott Cleverdon.
My name is Assumpta Serna.
And today is the 29th of June in the year of our Lord 2023.
Exactly.
And in a packed show tonight, I want to say hello to Mark Lees, who's out there on Facebook Land.
And also, it's 9 p.m. Thank you for...
yes, it's a little bit later.
It's a little bit later. Thank you for showing up, because we know that this is the first day of the change of the times can be...
It's a little bit complicated,
yeah.
But here, let me just go ahead and put that on. So why don't we just dive into it? Because
yes.
I don't know what's going on there in the UK or in America or anywhere else, but here it go to about 35 degrees today.
Yes, it is really
Which
hot.
I think we could definitely qualify it as being a little warm. That's for sure.
So, I'm going to do these things of the buttons today.
Do you know where they are, these buttons?
I'm going to try to.
I'm quietly terrified.
Okay, so that is the one.
Yeah, so do you want me? I can push this one if you like.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I have to applaud. But you know the next one you're going to push.
This one.
What could possibly go wrong? Right, so tonight we're going to be reviewing showreels. Well, that happened. Just like to say hi to Jen Humphreys. Remember, the best way to watch us out there in Instagram land is in the links that you see below you, which are Facebook and YouTube. We're also on Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Or as they like to call it in Spain, LinkedIn. The noble name LinkedIn has now become, oye, estás en LinkedIn. That's what's happened there. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, so why don't we just dive straight in?
Yes, please.
With the first book that we've got today.
Then we have a first video book, right?
Yeah, it's a showreel.
Sorry, showreel. I'm going to put it here.
Right down showreel. It's just to explain, if we ever slip and say the word video book, it's what they call it here in Spain. And we do this so much that it's hard to slip from one thing into the next, right?
Showreel.
Showreel. Okay, let's do this. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, let me just go.
A little young, aren't...
Right, let's go back to the start. Okay, there we go. Jessica Cato.
A little young, aren't we?
What do you want with me?
And here's me hoping you were a smart one. You are a reaper, a soul bearer, the ferryman.
But I...
Don't understand. Quite right, too.
How?
The accident. You can still hear Maddie calling to you for help.
For help.
Because I'm her reaper.
I'm sorry.
A what?
A reaper.
So if I do this for her, this is all over.
No, child. You accept this, and it's a job for life.
And if I don't?
You will.
Are you all right?
Fine.
He doesn't know where you're stopping, does he? Mole?
No.
Right. Good.
What?
I just don't want a madman knocking on my door, that's all.
It won't come to that, honest. He can barely change a light bulb.
All right. That was brief.
That was really too brief.
Let's see how long that is. Right. That's 2 minutes long. Right. Well, we're just getting into it there.
Yeah, we need to see more of you,
Yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah. Well, I do actually have more of Jessica.
Okay, let's see.
I do actually have more Jessica, but it's not an edited showreel, but she did send it to me. But give me 1 moment. Maybe you can dive in. My main problem with that is the doesn't matter what you're doing, but the other chap in the scene with you in the first bit is if I wanted to be generous, I'd say it's not exactly optimal.
That's very British of you.
It's really not entirely the dynamic we are looking for.
Okay, so what I think, well, it's not enough. It's not enough. I want to see more of you. I want to see more of you actually acting. You know, the first scene, the one that that you walked towards him and all this, it's a little bit problematic because that tells me that you are not very conscious of the camera. The guy of the camera had to align to see you. You know what I mean? So therefore, I can actually see that you are not trained on camera acting. That's for one thing. So I like to see you more. It's a pity because that is the first thing. And
well, my problem with it is that it's the other chap in the scene is very hard to get over.
Yeah.
He's pretty rough. And that's
there is no authenticity at all.
No, and he's using a different accent and everything else, and it's very tough. It's the sort of thing that should have conceivably been stopped by the director, before it happened, because this is the sort of thing that's very, very difficult to fix because there's nothing authentic about what he's doing. He's playing a role, and even that's slightly more dynamic than what he's doing. It
doesn't work. So to have that on your first appearance is a little bit problematic.
Yeah.
So then the second one, can we remember the second one?
Yeah. Well, listen. Let's just mention this again before we kick off. We normally mention this when we start. We're going to be looking at three things in particular. The first thing is the choice of scenes, whether appropriate casting, whether they really work for you, whether you're playing a leading role or a secondary role. That's important. The next thing is we're going to be looking at the technical stuff. How does it look? How does it sound? How is the editing? Is it only in one channel? A whole bunch of other different things. And the last thing we're going to be looking at is the editing, but specifically from the point of view of did I say editing? I meant acting. The last thing is about acting, and particularly acting on camera, okay? Because that's what we're talking about here. So one of the things that happens to us sometimes is people, they ask us, oh, can we put something from the theatre in there? The answer is, in general, no, because it's not the performance and the space in the theatre is not designed to be filmed. It's designed to be experienced within a group of people and in that particular context. That's not to say it never works. It can work as long as the camera is placed really where the audience is. But it's a very tricky thing. So remember those three things: the choice of material, the text that you're doing, the technical stuff, the sound, the image, and everything else, and the editing. And the final thing is the acting. That's what we're looking at. And you wanted to know about the second part, which is the last 30 seconds, basically.
Are you
here.
all right? Fine? He doesn't know where you're stopping, does he? Mole?
No.
Right. Good.
What?
I just don't want a madman knocking on my door, that's all.
It won't come to that, honest. He can barely change a light bulb.
Okay, that's 30 seconds. I'd like to see what more is in there, okay? Because we're not really getting a chance to see you. This is the other thing that we got going on is the other person in the first scene has all the weight. Doesn't really use the weight too well, but he's got it, right? So we got to find some other stuff. Now, she sent me some more things.
Okay, let's see it.
Right, okay, so let me, give me 1 moment. I need to change some things here.
Jessica, this way of acting is something that why I don't see you as being trained as a camera thing, because when we walk, we have to have a reason, and this reason, I don't know if the people are seeing me, watching me, or.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Thank you.
That's you. Sorry.
So I don't understand. Well, I do understand that really you are a beginner, and that doesn't matter if you are a beginner, but there is something that you cannot allow to yourself, never, and is to do something because someone told you to, without having any justification, any why you are walking, why you are approaching, because that is entirely, into your, your ability of justifying a movement, and that is the realm of the actor or the actress. So that means that if you don't justify that, and you're really, simply walking because it's what the director told you, that is a problem, because we see it. So as an actor, you have to justify all these little things way before, so to look at him, to understand that you want to go, we have to have this complicity with you, that we understand why you're starting walking and why. And that is something that you have to solve as an actress. Nobody is going to tell you that. The director is going to tell you, go to your mark. The camera, the director, photography too. Exactly what you have to put on the table is the whys. Why is that like that, and how I can justify it. And that is your work as an actress. So there is two things there that tells me that. What it tells me, and which is nice, is that you are much more natural and much more interesting than the person who is talking, right? I can see that, but that is not enough, because it's little things compared to all the other things that I see. So if you have that until now, I would say not to show it. Okay.
No, it's not gonna do any help.
No.
The first thing that we learned, the first thing that we forget when we're shooting something, particularly something peculiar like the first scene, is we forget where we are and how to act and react like normal people, because we're worried about remembering the text and all these other different bits and pieces. And the trouble with that is that we stop doing the one thing that we do every single day of our lives, which is to be present, is to be there. So we have this strange disconnect that happens between us and what we're doing, the place we are, the people who we're with, and our very sense of ourself and everything else. If you're in a weird place, we've all found ourselves in strange places, and we look around and we wonder what's there. When somebody is saying something that we don't understand, or that is confusing to us, we try to understand what it is. One of the things that I think we could say that we do as actors is that we're capable of experiencing the moment that we're in as if it's happening in that moment. The curious thing is that we have to do it over and over again, no?
And also, your imagination has to be fluid. Your imagination meaning, your thoughts, meaning also the all these things that I told you. Why we do something. Why we have to the camera to let it know that we are there also with a train of thought. And that is the quality of an actor, and that's the job of an actor. And nobody's going to tell you that. It's you who has to do the right choices, and to do, every time that you have a text, and to squeeze it as much as you can, so that everything is thought out, that there is nothing that can escape. Okay, but you are in English, yeah. It's because we have a very nice. We said that we would do that, and I think we should do that. The analysis of text for English people. We should do that.
Yeah, I think we should. It might be something that everybody already knows, but that's always the assumption, that we might be preaching to the choir. But certainly our simple and common sense approach to any text, whether it's long or short, whatever it is we think is very, very useful. The whole objective of this is not to make it more difficult and more complicated. The objective is to make it make it easier. There's a certain thing that actors experience really when they're doing something which is effective and it works. And one of the things they ask themselves is that it? It must be more complicated than that. The actual fact is it's not.
It's like life, you know? It's, you know, if we can translate what it happens to you before they say action, when they are saying action, that is life. You know, you are distracted, you want things, you before you talk, you think about what you're going to say. All these micro things that it happens into your head, we are able as human beings to actually recognize them. And if we don't see that in an actor, then we see the actor and we don't see the person, right? So it loses authenticity. And we have to be very careful that the first thing we have to do is to be believable. If there is a single question of that you don't believe what's going on, then your character is not also believing what is going on. So better to say it, better to inform the audience in a subtle way. You know, there is so many things that one can do when you don't understand what's going on, because, you know, I can see you that you're a little bit lost in that scene. So, you know, that is also a very good thing to say. You know, what's happening with this guy? Where are we? What, you know what I mean? Because then we are, drawn to you. Anyway, it's important that you have the fluidity to understand that you can communicate a lot of things with the camera with us, you know, apart from what is in the text. You have a life, you have a reason to be there, and as a character and as a person. And that has to coincide in your head, so that when you are doing something, you are there just because, you know, that's the thing that you want to do.
I always say, imagine the conversations that you've had with your friends, with your family, with people you know, when you're in the post office, when you're buying something in the supermarket. Imagine if those things were filmed and they were inside a short film, a TV show, a movie. Imagine how good they would be. Imagine how real they would be. That's really what we're attempting to aim for, is something that people believe that this is you talking and you expressing yourself and you thinking and you quite simply being. Okay, let's go ahead and watch.
Yes.
I've got some other things I want to. I want to. Oops, that's not what I want. I want to load up here. So let me just get here. So I'm not entirely sure what we're going to see because I haven't really seen these yet.
All work and no play makes Alexis a very dull girl.
What are you doing here?
What's wrong?
Nothing. Just leave me alone. I've got work to do.
Shouldn't beat yourself up about it.
And you shouldn't be here.
It wasn't your fault.
It doesn't stop them blaming me or wishing it was me.
You shouldn't say things like that.
Well, it's true. It should have been me. You've got so much more to give than me.
You're wrong. You were always the better person.
Guess we'll never know now.
What?
Lexi, I know you're planning
It's
on
very
going
quiet.
up to the old hospital.
That's none of your business.
I just don't understand why you let them talk you into
I'm
it.
not going to spend my whole life living in fear of them.
Well, just be careful, all right? They're not all as nice as me.
I know.
Promise me you won't do anything stupid.
Okay, right. It's the same actor as in the first one.
What do you mean?
It's the same actor.
Before? I didn't.
It's the same actor. Watch. It's
What do you want with me?
Oh yeah.
It's the same bloke.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's just go back to where we were. This is called hospital. Okay. So what we got going on here? We got
A very dull girl.
what can I say? Your friend is not doing you any favors here right now. Okay, he's not doing any favors. Your work is perfectly fine there. It's not, the trouble is you have one of those moments that we see very often, which is somebody's trying to get something done or trying to persuade somebody, and the other person just rejects them and negates it. Okay, so your job is, you have one job here, which is to say, leave me alone, you're not right, I'm going. Okay,
Yes.
and the trouble with that is as this falls into a weakness in the first category, which is the scene here. Now, the other thing that we have to admit is that this isn't in a showreel, so this has not been chosen to go in there. Okay, so my question is, what's there that's useful? For me, not a lot.
No, not a lot. No.
But that's your performance here is
Your performance is
perfectly
is
fine.
perfectly fine.
It works.
And it's a little bit more indicative of what you can do than the first scene that is in your demo reel, if you
Yes.
ask me.
Yes.
Why you didn't put it, I don't know. If you are there, is she there? Did we tell her?
I told her, but I'm not sure whether she got the
Well,
message. But hopefully she'll be able
anyways,
to watch
if
this
you are not-
afterwards. But
Yeah.
we're talking to you like
Yeah, like if you were there.
we always talk to people like they're there. And remember, the objective here is that we only have your best interests at heart, and we don't work on what the concepts of good and bad. We're just trying to work out what works. Okay, and it's very different, and it's completely contextual, and depends who you are, where you are, and what's going on there.
Oh, and with who you are,
Well, yeah, that's
The working partners is something that sometimes you don't choose. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes no, all the time you don't choose. So, you get what you get. The only thing is that, I cannot say, that this man cannot act. I'm sure he can act, but I think that it is also, this second scene is better than the first one that we saw. But still, if you have
no. What it does is I see that and it frustrates me.
yeah.
Is you give me 10 minutes with that actor and we
And
get
it's-
rid of that immediately.
Of course, yes.
You know what I mean? And what it has to do with is, look, this is a certain thing that happens when people are shooting stuff. Is the person who's saying action or saying this is what the shot's going to be, doesn't need to be qualified when it comes to coaching or helping to liberate actors. I use the term liberate very, very deliberately because a lot of it, what it is the people to really move away from what they think acting is and to actually come back to what acting really should be, right? It's not about a projection of a character or an attitude. It's really about something which is very personal, it's very intimate, and it's very based on sort of being and being present. Okay, that's sort of what it is. So when I see that, I just find it frustrating. The other thing that I find, and why is, people go, oh, sobreactuado, that's what they say in Spanish, overacting or whatever like that. I don't say that. I don't say that because it's cheap. It's a very cheap thing to say about somebody. So what I say is that somebody's gone a little bit too far down the wrong road,
And then
they need to come
and then
back.
what's happening if you say that to people, oh, that's too much. So then nothing.
Yeah,
No,
that's,
it's the contrary. What you want with the person, that it flourishes with an imagination that is unstoppable. That's what you want. If you say no, then and you poor thing, what he's gonna do? He's gonna all the time. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. That's too much. And then their imagination is going to be completely swallowed by this need of not doing. And it's at the contrary. You have to do a lot. You have to think a lot, and you have to choose a lot.
yeah. Well, look what Elise says here. Hopefully she's not being sarcastic. She said, nice idea, liberating us as actors. Well, really what I'm interested in is getting people back to being as interesting as they are in everyday life. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say everyone. I have known people who in everyday life are empty vessels and blank canvases and really not the most interesting people to have, take a coffee with or have dinner with, really. And yet when they're performing, they're electric. I've known people like that. That's the anomaly. That doesn't really happen very often. What's usually the objective is to try and bring some of that spark, that life, that furnace that everybody's got going on inside them and try and bring that to the acting of things. That's really, really important. The trouble is that when people are in acting training in a drama school or something like that, they're all trying to be the actor who they think that the teachers want them to be. And that's really... It's really a failure on the part of the people who are doing the training, because what you should really want to do is to liberate people and allow them to be the best version of themselves in various different contexts. The rest of it's just accents and funny walks. That's kind of it, really.
Yes.
The way we speak, the way we move, all of those different things. But for the most part, who we are, what we are, is the thing that that people are going to want to buy and put in their TV show. Let's go and look at the. No, she says.
I meant it. No,
Good.
no, not at all
So I
sarcastic.
never know the uninflected nature of a message on Facebook. Right. So let's go to the next one. Okay, let me just pause that there. But your performance there is perfectly fine.
Yeah, the problem is the text. You don't have any you don't have
Okay, this is
too much
the
space
this
to
is the
say
full
something.
this is the full scene here.
Okay, good.
I always like uncomfortable silences. Big fan.
Are you all right?
Fine.
He doesn't know where you're stopping, does he? Mole?
No.
Right. Good.
What?
I just don't want a madman knocking on my door, that's all.
It won't come to that, honest. He can barely change a light bulb.
I want you to sort it. I've got Keir to think about
I
now.
know. Sorry. I'll sort things and I'll get up your hair.
I'm not being a bitch. I've just
You're
got
not. I mean, I did just turn up on your door, so...
He's older, right? You never said how old. Well, what are we talking here? 2 years? 10 years?
He's 45.
Wow. Look, stay tonight. Tomorrow if you need to. Maybe we can
I'll
sort
be gone
something-
tomorrow, promise. I still need to sort things out with Mum anyway.
Still haven't spoken to her.
Thank you.
For what?
For this? It's been nice. Normal.
With all the persistent messages, you mean? Sorry. You don't hate me, do you?
Oh, of course I don't hate you. How could I? I get it, 100%. And you've done more than enough.
Oh, I said I'd get Keir at 4. She'd be driving Mum nuts by now.
Nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Look at that.
Very nice.
It's totally connected. Totally buy it.
Yeah.
I totally believe it. You're giving us extra information. You're saying things. You have a relationship to what you're saying. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think forget about your demo. I mean, sorry, your show reel and show
Yeah.
this scene.
See, we
If
can get
that's the
some-
one you have,
Yeah, it's very competent. There's not a single moment I didn't believe you there. Really?
No? Yeah, really. Yeah. Authentic.
Yeah.
Good.
So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that if I'm wanting to see what you're capable of, I'll sit down and watch two. How long was that? Let me just see how long it is. It's 2 minutes and 25 seconds, right? 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Okay. I would rather sit through that than something that I wanted to not watch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please forget about the show reel. And
Well, forget about the first scene in the showreel. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But really, what we got going on here is, I go, wow, it's very competent.
Yeah. So we need to shoot more scenes. We need to have more confidence with the camera. You know, have a teacher that really teaches you how to act on camera. That is not very easy. Believe me. we were counselors for a lot of what was that? RADA.
Well, every year for about 5 years, we would go to London, where there was a symposium on film acting for the accredited drama schools, for the Confederation of British Drama Schools, of which there's 22, and that includes RADA, Central, Lambda, Guildhall, Rose Bruford, Mount View, the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, etc. and also the Drama Centre, which doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore.
But that's a different story. So I think East 15 and various other places. This is about 22. And these are the things that the reason why everybody thinks British actors are the best in the world. No, they have to fight harder to get into their drama schools. Thus, their drama schools can choose all the good ones, actors that is. So, and also the real problem we have these days is acting and going to drama school, which used to be effectively free, like most further education, now costs about $9,000 a year. Okay, which excludes many people who are not well off or don't have some kind of scholarship or bursary, which is terribly unfortunate, which means why we're seeing an absolute dearth of posh actors, as it were. I don't consider myself one of those. So what we would do is every year we would go to and we would meet up with the other teachers who were attempting to teach film acting to their students, because it's the one thing that all the actors really want how to learn, because if it all goes well, this is how they're going to make a living, is doing film and television, specifically TV and TV series, because it's happening now more than it's probably ever happened in the history of television. What with Netflix, Amazon, Apple, etc. We know what they are. We know who the players are. And the problem and the difficulty that everybody had was, how exactly do I teach it? Now, what they thought was rather difficult was something that you and I had actually worked out about 15 years beforehand. We'd actually worked out how it worked.
And they saw that we were the only ones in Europe that we had this course of university course, right?
Yeah, well, we were the first people to have a postgraduate course in film acting. Yeah. So what we effectively had was people who'd already had a full classical training in theatre, and they would come and spend a year with us, and then we would train them on camera acting. And a little bit what we discovered when we started teaching film acting some 23 years ago was that our objective was just to teach people about marks and lenses and lights and, and all the sort of technical aspect of it. But one of the things that we discovered was that people were woefully, or in many instances, wrongly trained.
Yes. For
acting in general.
That's true also.
That people were just gone a long way down the wrong road.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the idea that there was theatrical acting and there was acting for camera. It's the fact that there was what they'd learned, which was inapplicable in any way for the camera, because it was also inapplicable for the most part on stage as well.
Yes. The problem with camera, is that you have this. And here, like that. Okay, or sometimes like that.
You want some more?
Yes, exactly. So sometimes that is really a detector of lies. That is where, where the things start to get tricky if you are not really connected, if you are not really there. And, there is no masks, there is no tricks, there is no other thing there's no character that you have to pursue, like if it was a beautiful carrot in the end of the road. No. Unfortunately, the character is you, and there, all the things that happen to you that they are not solved, all your not knowledge of the medium, all this counts, when you are also performing on camera. And unfortunately, the people didn't know how to do it, because there were very few teachers at that time that they were doing screen acting. As a professionals, and that they were also able to teach that. So they saw that we had, I think was which school was organizing that?
The Drama Centre.
The one that doesn't.
The one that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so the Drama Centre was.
It wasn't our fault.
No,
it had nothing to do with the demise of the Drama Centre.
So the Drama Centre figured out that, since we were having this 1 year course on screen acting, we should know something. And so they call us up, and it was very interesting, because they were not prepared. It was like the same thing than here, That was, which years was that? 2000?
We started in 2014, 15. I mean, we were in the middle of doing our postgraduate course at the time.
Yeah,
it was very interesting because what it was is effectively in most schools it was sort of tacked on at the end. RADA had a good idea. They had a good idea of doing it, and also the man running the course, Ed, who now is in Cambridge. Is a former actor and is also a director. So he understands what it is to act on camera and direct people on camera. And what they did is they actually put together short films, which, is in many ways what we attempted to do. And also what they did is they brought in veteran actors to work on these films. So what it was an opportunity for the other actors to learn from these veteran actors who knew where they were being there. Kenneth Cranham and, really, really good people. And that was the one that really was effective. The real problem with it is it took enormous amounts of resources and it cost an awful lot of money, because
and something that the Spanish government would never allow us to do.
This is something that most governments are not a fan of. One of the things that they had to do is they actually had to remove budget from one of their plays, one of their shows that they would put on, and invest them into this.
Which is not easy for a school, that is traditionally, in theatre.
Yeah, it's
teaching in theatre.
It's not easy, and not easy in the slightest. So we're fully aware of the complications of it, and we know it's not particularly straightforward to actually pull off. Do you want to see the other scene,
yes,
which is
let's
lengthy?
see
It's the same one we saw.
This for telling you that is for telling you that it's not easy to find the right people to work with, and to learn from. Be careful, because right now, we believe that it's almost 300 hours that you have to have before you actually start controlling something of this medium. So, that takes a long time. And sometimes, it's not a course of 1 week or 2 weeks or,
No, I
people
remember
with
when
casting directors that they never did it.
I remember when I was at drama school, the person who gave us a week on working on camera, we're doing multi-camera. We're doing a scene from Z Cars. Z Cars was a TV show that was shot live in the 1960s. I'm not that old. 1960s. And the man who was running it, who I'm sure is no longer with us, a very kind, sweet, elderly gentleman called Veer Lorimer. God bless his cotton socks. And the script was straight out of the 1960s. Well, you do stabs all over it, sir. It was like that. It was like something from Harry Enfield. It's a pleasure to be nicked by the likes of you, Mr. Rems.
That's in 19...
Cigarette things.
That's when you were there. Which year was that?
That was at the end of the 80s. Uh-huh. But so the scripts came from 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Now, saying 2000 and 2023 doesn't sound like a long time. Trust me, when it's like 1990 and the script came from 1968, that feels like a completely different planet.
Of course, right now is the same thing,
Well, the world was more different between 1990 and 1968
yes,
than the world is between 2000 and 2023.
So would you mean that it changes more quickly now?
Well, no. That there's elements in the world that we have right now, which were there, and when you're talking about 1968, you're talking about most people had black and white TVs. There was no VCRs. There was no DVDs.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing like that. There was no video clubs. It's just a completely different experience. The Beatles were there, for goodness sake. Anyway, just to say that I had 1 week with dear Veer Lorimer, and never learned a damn thing. I never understood it because it was just confusing. Why? Because he was a director. Directors, just because they direct actors, doesn't mean they know how to train actors. It's a very different thing.
Very different thing.
It's like, well, they direct actors, so they should know how to train them. No. Well, what happens? I get directed by a director. That means I can teach directing film. There's no logic there. The real problem is that there's a lot of people out there teaching on-camera acting who've never really done it, so they haven't experienced how it can be applied in the real world. And if you're being trained for something which can't be applied in the real world, my question is, why are we learning it? Okay, because everything has to be applicable, because we don't have time to mess around. That's just the way it goes. So one of the reasons that we do what we do is because you're slightly different, because you came from a different direction. But when the first time I started working and I was on a film set, I didn't know anything about anybody or how it worked. It's very different now because we've seen the behind the scenes shot, stuff and how things are made. We have a better idea of what a film set looks and sounds like without ever having been on one. All the behind the scenes stuff. We've seen that, right? We know what it is. So when we get there, we're like, oh, there's a strange familiarity. For us, For me, back in the day, it was like walking on the surface of the moon. You had no idea whatsoever, and it was just a constant barrage of complications. So what we do when we're training people is we create a film, the pressure and the dynamic of a film set, and that's how you learn. You learn with the objective to try and make whatever you're doing work.
But in a safe space, because it's not the same, to do shorts or to do things. You have to do it in a space where you actually can, repeat the experience.
Well, this is the other thing about safe space. It's a safe space to do things which are risky.
Exactly.
Not the so what that means, and it's a much abused term these days, a safe space, for the snowflakes. No. This is a safe space in the same way that a safety net is a safe space for a trapeze artist. Doesn't mean you're not going to jump higher, faster, and do more twists in the air. No, it means you're going to try and do it, knowing that somebody's there to catch you. Knowing that you're not going to break your neck.
Yes. And you have to go to investigate your own limits and to be able, and sometimes when you go to these places where they just shoot, you don't have this, you have to actually see yourself, understand what you're doing, take the wheel, so to speak. No?
It's interesting at the idea of the safety net. I've seen Cirque du Soleil many times, and it's always quite a joyous theatrical experience. Whenever they have high wire stuff or they have trapezes high up in the tent or the theater where they're performing, one of the first things that they do is they'll fall. They will actually fall or jump onto the net that's below them. There's a very clear reason for that, is they want you to enjoy the spectacle of this extraordinary expression of what human beings can do. They want you to enjoy that instead of having you gripping the edge of your seat because you're scared that somebody's going to break their neck and you're going to watch somebody die. That's the big difference there, is because we're not there for the thrill of seeing potential death. We're there for the thrill of seeing human beings doing extraordinary things. And there's a thing, if you want to be a human being doing an extraordinary thing, you need to do it somewhere where somebody's going to catch you, or at least won't make fun of you.
Exactly.
That's really, really important. Let's go and watch that. Let's watch the last thing.
One? Yes.
Okay. Now this is the first scene that we watched. Let's see if there's other moments in it which are salvageable. Okay. But we already know.
You say salvageable?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Why is that good? Salvajable?
No, salvables.
Salvables.
More or less the same. Yeah. So let's see.
Right. Okay. So let me just go ahead and open this. Okay. So here we go.
You can't hide from me.
I wasn't.
Speak up, child.
This is it, isn't it? It's the waiting room.
Where souls come to be transported. No, it's just a basement. Then again, what were you expecting?
Something a little bit less grim and a little bit more clinical.
Yeah, it's
Nothing
true. If there is a
screams
space that you
death
don't
like a
know,
hospital.
it's a space that you don't know. You have a wonderful opportunity to see around, to be completely, perplexed about what you're watching. I think that is your job there as an actress.
Yeah.
Waiting room. Now, let me look at you. A little young, aren't we?
What do you want with me?
And here's me hoping you were a smart one. You are a reaper, a soul bearer, the ferryman.
But I...
Don't understand. Quite right, too.
How?
It's very interesting. Demon 79. Is that what it's called? The last episode in the latest season of Black Mirror. There's scenes like that in there, where a relatively normal person comes across somebody who happens to be a demon, right? And the way they manifest themselves. It's very, very interesting in the way it's performed and the way it's been directed, and also the way it's been cast. Our connectedness with the things around us and really what's going on, whether you can't believe you are where you are, whatever it is, you kind of have to approach it with that particular type of headspace. You're like, what the hell am I doing here? What is all this? The comedy of accepting the strangeness of where we are is a different issue, and it's not really yours. It belongs to the other character, right? You're fighting against several different things here, and I don't disagree with you using the piece that you chose, but let's keep going.
The accident. You can still hear Maddie calling to you.
We seem to have somebody who's doing Richard O'Brien from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's what we got going on here.
Yeah, you shouldn't look.
Because I'm her Reaper.
I'm sorry.
Shouldn't look down because you don't have light. You
So
know,
if
No.
I do this for her, this is all over.
you have your light
No, child.
on your back.
You accept this.
A little
Yeah,
bit into
Jess,
your
baby,
legs.
this is
And if
Ah,
don't,
be careful. They want
You
to see
will.
you. Well,
yeah.
no.
It's
The problem here is the director. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I can. Poor actor is not the same. It's not.
It's not helping you a lot there.
No, but no, it's not only
But
the
Jess,
actor.
look, I
it's
want
also the director that that they forced you to do things and movements, and everything was like kind of a contrived, and you know what I mean, and then you couldn't really express yourself because you were a little bit trying to do what they told you to do, and that is awful. You can see it.
Yeah, it's not good. Look, one of the things, and this is something that everybody should desperately try to resist. When we tumble into the realms of like sort of parables and metaphorical storytelling, and things where we're touching stuff here, souls, reapers. I don't know where the text comes from. I'm not entirely sure where it's going or where it's come from. But there's a certain something there which doesn't really work. What
Yes,
can I
forget
say?
about this scene entirely. Put yourself into a drawer and write, because the others, the other with the girls, you're much better, and that's what you should, show for now, and the rest just, bury it. It's a nice exercise for you, and I suppose that you're gonna. Know and understand a lot of things from that one, and that is already a lot, So what I advise you is that you understand why these things don't work and try not to do it again. As a girl, we said.
Yeah,
All the time. Try to, justify everything that you do, having your imagination very fluid so that, we can follow as a spectator, as a viewer, what you are doing, okay? So that means that you have to let the camera see your inside, your thought, your subtext, your why you want something. And then, then we're gonna, do another step. So choose well the people that you are working with.
Let me just try something
You
here.
can't
I
hide
want to know if there's
I wasn't.
Speak up, child.
This is it, isn't it? It's the waiting room.
right.
Where
No.
souls go.
One second.
Are
No, I'm there's a thing I'm trying to make work here. There's another piece of material.
Okay, so
Push that.
I'm telling you more things. Okay, so practice a lot, being inside the camera, understand why the things work, but watch it with someone that actually can tell you, these things that we are saying to you now, because if not, you're losing time, and there is no no reason why you shouldn't work as an actress. You know, there's a lot of profiles you can do. It's wonderful to be, you know, as you are. Is a you know, it's always a joy when we don't see all the time, you know, the beauty that they tell us what, you know, and you have a lot of tenderness, a lot of Scott.
I have another. It's,
Okay, great.
No. I have another scene, but the thing is, I can't. It's not in a format that I can play here.
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay. So what is the other scene called?
It's sort of like another showreel thing.
Okay.
But it's just a fragment. You know, there is part of a longer thing. One of the things that happens is, let me explain this to you. So this might be interesting for people who don't know this, who are outside of the UK. There's a thing called Spotlight. Spotlight is where all the actors have their curriculums, their CVs, their resumes. They have their photos. They have voice demos, and they have the show reels, and they have all those other different bits and pieces. They have their contact information. They also have there whether they do taekwondo, can ride a horse, know how to, you know, use a motorcycle, and they're good at, you know, clowning and work as a butcher on the weekends.
Yes.
Right. So they got all of that stuff going on there. Embedded in there are videos. Sometimes you can download the video, but very often that you can't because of the way that the page is coded, and that's what I've got here is something that I can't.
Okay.
I've done my best, but you know, there's a limit to how much I can hack Spotlight. You know, but anyway, so this is the important thing is to take away from this is that in the material that you have, that you show that you're very competent, highly castable, and that you have a very nice and warm and kind energy around you. And you're more than capable of being present on camera and convincing us all that, you know, you're a person that exists.
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that you can do it. So, you know, you have to really be careful and choose well the people you're working with, the texts that you prepare for yourself, exactly what you want to convey, you know, and all this kindness and tenderness, it has to show in other texts. The problem also is, you know, the text that we have chosen, okay? They are not very well for you, you know, to show you as the actress that you can be.
Well, that's us for tonight.
That's
Well,
us for
remember, if
tonight.
anybody who wants to get in contact with us, send us a showreel. You can send it to Scott at familiadecine, I'm going to say it in English, .com, which you'll find here. Our original foundation, I gave it an English language name, which is First Team. Now I'm talking about some of the Spanish language name. It's exactly the same problem, but in reverse.
Reverse.
You know.
Well, thank you for watching us.
Thank
I
you.
hope that we've been useful to you, Jessica, and I wish you a lot of luck. And
remember, if anybody wants to get in contact with us,
work.
Yeah, everybody wants to get in contact with us. Any questions? We're the easiest people in the world to find. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn, or in Spain, LinkedIn. Also, we're on Twitter. We're easy peasy lemon squeezy to find. And one of the reasons that we do this is to give actors and actresses who are out there in the world perhaps somebody who has a chance to, you know, they can ask them the dumbest question possible and they might find out that it's not dumb at all. And in the meantime, I have to say thank you to Francisco Paramos
for being there,
who's
for
with
giving us, you know, the heads up always.
It's always great to see him there. Ellie for being with us. Carlos Agustin says, come and see The Chosen. Thank you, Chosen, which is one of the most successful independent TV projects in the history of TV, which is extraordinary. Jim, who's with us, thank you, Jim.
Thank
I
you,
haven't
Jim,
said it
for
before.
being
Thank
here.
you for being there. And that's our show for tonight. Tomorrow we're going to be back at 9 p.m., which is our new time, 9 p.m.
Thank you,
in Spain.
Fernando Ariza from Instagram. Thank you.
Yeah,
also.
he says, no he podido estar antes, estaba en un curso de clases de clown.
Exactly.
Gestual. He said he couldn't be here because he was doing physical clown comedy. No te creo. I don't believe you for a second. But thank you for dropping by.
Thank you for everything. This is surprising direct. That plays great today.
Yeah, well, there you go. That works well.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's. Trust you me, I can listen to people saying nice things all day.
Nice.
When you consider the sort of stuff that we have to deal with normally. And Michael was there.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. I'm sorry. And Robert.
Robert
No,
Giordano.
Yeah, Robert Giordano.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I miss you.
If I could only make this work beautifully on Instagram as I can make it work on everything else. Look, and here we are in reality. Here we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to say thank you very much to everybody for
Have a good night.
time with us tonight.
And sleep well.
We'll catch you all
And
later,
once-
and we'll be back in English in 1 week from now. And remember, you can send us all your material, whatever your showreel, your photos, your self-tapes. I got some things lined up for next week. I got a very interesting one this evening from a Polish actress, which is interesting to see because, you know, we've worked with various different Polish actors.
Yes,
I did a
yes,
film in Poland. We have Eva, you know, entonces, and so dziękuję dobrze. That's what I have to say there.
Thank you. Cartel Productions is also there.
It's always there.
Thank you,
I
thank you.
love the logo. Right. And as we always like to say, upwards and
Inwards, onwards, outwards.
onwards.
Onwards.
It's not that
Okay.
hard.
Sorry.
Upwards and inwards.
I don't know.
Upwards and
Onwards. Okay. Upwards and onwards. And now, yes. Sorry.
should we do that again? So until next Thursday in English or tomorrow at 9 p.m. in Central European time in Spanish, upwards.
And onwards.
That's the one. So
We like our music. 3 years listening it to every night and still it's not boring.
that's true. It's a great
Yeah.
testament to the music. It's absolutely
Thank you for
extraordinary.
choosing it, Scott.
Well, you know, it's one of the few things I do without thinking too much.
No, it's very good. The music, you just nail it. It's nice.
Thank you very much.
No, it's nice.
Well,
mean-
it's you know, everybody likes jazz.
Yeah.
Everybody likes jazz until they hate it. You know, that jazz where you're going to go, hang on a second, are they just throwing their instruments at each other? You know, it's like, you know, it's one of those sorts of things. Right. We're going to go and dine and do all that sort of thing. And we have to go see Desiree Naranjo.
Tomorrow, yes. And then we're showing Miriam on Sunday also.
Miriam?
Miriam Gracia, who is the risoterapia one.
That's where we're going to go and enjoy risotto.
Anyway, it's a
think-
presentation
I
of her
think-
book.
I
It's a
think-
presentation of
What's her name?
book. Miriam.
Mm-hmm.
Miriam Gracia.
Gracia. So Gracia.
No, Miriam, espera, I don't know. Miriam Gracia is another person. Gracia is another, anyway.
Well, because it'd be good because Gracia in Spanish.
Bravo, that's it.
Oh, a shame it's not Gracia.
Bravo.
That'd be good.
Miriam Bravo.
If it was Gracia, it'd be
Yes,
perfect
yes,
for
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
who's risoterapia is actually laughter therapy,
Yes.
and Gracia means funny. So, you
Okay,
know.
see you soon.
All right, we'll be back.
Bye.
Bye.